Hi everyone, thank you for joining me for today's tutorial where I'm going to walk you through how to paint a ladybug using watercolors. For a full list of everything you need to get started, be sure to check out the video description below. All right, to start out, I'm going to sketch out the basic shape of the flower, and I like to do that by sort of planning out how large I want to be. So I don't add the finishing details to start, I just add a basic shape. So we know it's going to be about this big with the ladybug here and then the stem. So then once I have that basic, very light outline, I go in and I start adding the correct shape. So the dome of the flower here, I'm actually gonna go a tiny bit bigger. That comes around. And then we're gonna draw the petals and just have them kind of overlap. Mine might not be exactly the same as the reference photo, but it gives me a loose idea of how I want them to look. Have one coming out here. And one coming down. There's one in the back. And keep going, making my way around until I've got them all. Now I drew this petal there even though it's cut off by the ladybug, just so I would know approximately where it should begin and end behind. And then I drew a stem. And then I'm gonna have, the ladybug sort of starts near the top of the flower with the head and then comes down here. Like so. And I'll erase these lines that we don't need after, and I'm gonna draw the feet in afterwards. Just like that. So I'm gonna just erase these lines now, because we don't need them. Same with those faded lines that I had drawn in at the beginning, we don't need them, so we'll just get rid of them so it's not too confusing. Like so. So now I'm just gonna kind of take a close look at it and decide if I wanna change anything. My petals are quite a bit longer than the reference photo, but I'm okay with that. The head looks a little bit long, but I think it is actually like that. And then the spots I can kind of draw in after. So that's a good starting point. So first things first, we're going to start by adding some clear water and then coloring in the petals one at a time. So I like to wet a few at once. So I'm just gonna lay in water in a few at a time. Just saves time. And then I take the purple. I'm just gonna lightly lay it in. That's even too dark. I'll just lighten it by adding a bit more water. I'm making mine more purple. This one is like a pinky purple in the reference photo. Mine's gonna be even a little bit more purple, as you can see. That's okay. Whatever purple you have on hand will work. You can even use blue. I'll throw in a little bit of teal here. And whenever I put in a color that, like a new color, I try and add it into the other petals too. So I threw in a bit of teal, so now I'm just gonna go back and add it in the other ones. The purple I use all the time is quite dark, so I have to be very sparing with it. And I'm just gonna make my way through more. And right now, because I'm not creating a lot of definition between them, it's okay if they bleed into each other. And they will lighten quite a bit as they dry too. So you just keep making your way around. I use the tip of my brush to have control over where it's going. And because the red of the ladybug is so much darker than the petals, that's why I'm doing the ladybug last, because if I happen to go in on the shape at all, it's not a big deal. I'm gonna use a smaller brush just to get in under here. So just make your way around until you've done all the petals, and then we're gonna let it dry so that we can do the center. There we go. I'm just going to drop in a bit of clear water so that we get some little effects happening. Maybe I'll do this petal here. Almost forgot about it. I think that's all of them. All right, so we're gonna let that dry, and then when it's dry, we can come in and do the center and the ladybug. Okay, so now that that's dry, I'm gonna go in and do the center first. So I just fill it in with clear water, and I can leave some little white spots, but it's mostly filled in. And I'm gonna do a bright yellow at the top, just by speckling in like so, with the tip of a thin brush. Then I'm going to take some yellow ochre and put that in towards the bottom. And it can butt up to the flower petals now, because they should be dry. Just like so, and we'll let that dry. And then we're going to fill in the ladybug with red. So first I'll use clear water, and then I'm going to take a nice cadmium red and put that in. And this is a good time, if you have more than one shade of red, you can drop in another one as well. So I'm going to take, I have this deep, almost maroonish red that I'm going to drop in towards the back, and a little at the front as well. Now I want to keep a little bit of a shine spot right here, so using my dry brush, I'm just going to pick up some of the water that's dropped down here, so that as it's drying, it doesn't make its way there. All right, now I'm going to go back to the top of the flower and just add some more little yellow dots, and then some more yellow ochre dots. And now we're going to take a very small amount of purple on our brush, and I'm going to start doing some lines on the flower, just like so, from the base outward. Then I take some clear water over top, just like so. Some are longer, some are shorter. You don't want to have any real rhyme or reason to it. Just want to kind of go in and so once again, I'm making my way around. This one's a little lighter, so I'm going to keep it a little bit, a little bit lighter. Being careful not to touch the center that could still be wet. Now, whenever you get too dark of a color, you can just go in with clear water beside it and dull it a little bit. These faraway petals are all lighter, so I'm trying to use restraint. It's hard because there's a tendency to want to go super dark. Now, while that's still wet, I'm going to take a tiny bit of purple on my flat brush and just add some little speckles, splatters, speckles. I've never called them speckles before. Splatters in and around. Now that I think about it, I might do a few on the ladybug too. Have a few red. Just like so. And I'm noticing that that area that I wanted to stay white has still managed to fill in, so I'm just gonna make sure I lift it out again. Just like so. All right, and now we can do the stem as well. So I'm just gonna use green, pull in. And I'm going to use a lime green over top to blend in beside it, like so. And then because I want to get rid of a bit of the definition here, I'm going to take a wet brush and I'm just going to come in and add a few, where there's wet paint, I'm going to just come in and add clear water beside it. Like so. It loosens up the painting a little bit. There's different ways to do that, but I find there's a lot of control in kind of going in after the fact where it's still. And I'm going to add a bit more clear drops over top, and wherever you have that clear water, like so. All right, so we're gonna let this dry, and then I'm gonna add some of those little black details. All right, so now that that layer has dried, we can come in with a fine tip brush and some black paint and add some of those final details. So I'm not doing wet and wet for this part. I'm just gonna go straight in with the black and color in the face. So I'm mindful of leaving out a white square for where the eye is, rectangle I should say. And I'm just filling in everything else. And then we're gonna draw some of those little spots. I'm leaving that white dot there that stayed, I don't want to lose that. And in the reference photo, there's a few shine marks, which we can add after. And then we're just gonna estimate where the legs would go. So the first one kind of comes out and back. Just gonna go over that one more time. And then the neck, there's a little one at the front. Two antennae. And then there's one that goes to the back. Another one back here. And we're just gonna outline that back a bit. All right. Oops. I turned off my computer, so that got rid of my reference photo. All right, there we go. Now I'm going to add some purple. Again to the top, just to redefine. This time I'm using my liner brush. Now I know the reference photo isn't quite as dark, but I like to take liberties with my paintings and not have them look exactly like the photos. So if you are the type of person who paints a little bit lighter and yours ends up lighter, that's great too. It's okay if it ended up darker. There we go. So I'm just making my way around. All right, now I'm going to take a bit of Payne's Gray and come in and add a few little speckles on the bottom of the flower. Then I'm going to take some yellow ochre. These are just tiny details that I like to do. You certainly don't have to go into so much detail, but I enjoy this process. So I'm going over with yellow ochre where there's little Payne's Gray dots. I'm going to take some clear water and just go over those again. There we go. Then I'm going to take a little bit of green and just darken one side of that, like so. All right. So last but not least, I'm gonna go in and add those shine marks that are in the photo on my Ladybug shell. So just along here. Oops. Sometimes it goes a little outside where you want it to go. That's okay. There's one back here. This one's a little bigger. One up here. Just like that. And then I'm going to take some white and just add a few little swipes on the petals as well. Like that. All right, so I think we're all done. So all I have left to do is sign it, and it is complete. So if you enjoyed painting along with me, be sure to hit the thumbs up button, and if you could hit subscribe if you want to watch other videos and tutorials just like this one. Thank you so much for watching.